Hey, what's up? This your boy Big Man. You know what this is, man. So let's talk about this No Limit series, man. No Limit Chronicles, man. So we on episode 3 and 4. And man, it just keeps getting better and better. I mean, this gotta be one of the best shows ever on BET as far as documentaries. I like what P did, man. He followed the same format that they used for the MJ documentary, man. And it's just working, man. It's working. I love it, man. But man, before we get into this, man, please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button, and let's get it. So basically, they start off episode 3 and they talk about how Mia X is like an A&R for the label. She's basically finding all the hot spitters throughout New Orleans that can help P build his war chest, build his roster up. And she's really good at it because she goes on to find some of the biggest artists on the label, man. She goes on to find cats like Fiend, Mac, who's one of my favorite rappers on No Limit. I think he had one of the best albums on No Limit, Shell Shock. It was, man, that's probably one of my favorite albums. Lyrically, it was all there. It's just one of the albums that's slept on by most of the people. So it goes to show that Mia X, she had a real good eye for talent. But man, things continue with Master P and success comes, man. With hard work comes success because he starts building his roster and then he says, forget this, man. I'm about to do something different. I'm about to drop film. So in 1997, he's like, forget this. We about to do a whole movie. It's just going to be hooded out. It's going to be called I'm About It. And it's just going to be straight street, man. They only spent like 200, 300 grand, even though that's a lot of money to us. And even then in 1997, it was even more than what it would be now. And, you know, for a movie budget, that's nothing. So they spent that and the movie is a hit, man. They end up selling 2 million copies of that movie. And I remember this specifically because I went to the record store to buy that movie, man, on VHS and all, man. And I still, man, it's somewhere still in my mom and them's house. I guarantee it. So after I'm About It, man, they start to really get some big commercial success. I think I'm About It was the platform that springboarded them for it, man. I think that's the one thing where everybody was like, okay, this is different. Watch the movie and you really got to understand it of the culture of where P was coming from. And you got to understand it of the music and the artist, man. So it was a dope combination and a smart idea on P, man. And you're going to see as we go through this, he had a lot of smart ideas that just make you scratch your head and say, man, this dude was really thinking way ahead of everybody at the time, man. Crazy, man. But one of the real big power moves that everybody understood at the time, except for the record labels, was when he signed Mystikal, man. So Mystikal was on Jive, but he had underground hits that were bangers, man. You know what I'm saying? Some real dope records. Even though he was in a beef with UNLV at the time, which was a Cash Money group, you know, who was really, really about the streets, and they had an ongoing beef, Mystikal had some underground hits that were bangers, man. And while he was at Jive, he had his joint Beware and a lot of dope singles, man. I mean, Mystikal was already something on his own. It's just Jive didn't know what to do with him. And Master P peeped that. He said, oh, okay, y'all don't know what to do with this cat. And he's a super duper star. You got the Busta Rhymes of the South, and y'all don't know how to do this. You know what? We gonna cut this check. So Master P went to Jive and bought out Mystikal's contract for 300 grand like it was nothing. Now, Master P had always been a boss and kept money, so this was nothing for him, man. That 300,000 was nothing for what he was going to get from Mystikal and his catalog in the future, man, because Mystikal would go on to be one of the biggest sellers on No Limit, man. And it just proves time and time again that Master P just had the foresight. And sometimes the record industry, man, a lot of times the record industry, they don't know what's going on for real. They don't know what's really buzzing in these streets. They don't know. It's us, man. It's the fans and it's the people who really are in tune in this culture that really know what's happening. They have no clue. You always got to bring it to them. And P peeped that and said, I ain't going to be a middleman. I'm going to be the man. I'm going to be the dude who runs this whole thing, you know, and I whip an ear to the street. So that way people know, you know what I'm saying? They ain't going to be using us as a stepping stone to other things or to funnel their other projects or fund their other projects, I should say. So they start seeing some real serious, I'm talking about commercial success. You got Mia X going gold. You got Mystikal, first album, Unpredictable, going platinum. You got Mr. Serv-on going gold. And Mr. Serv-on was not as much of a household name as all the other artists. You know what I'm saying? You got cats like Mr. Serv-on, Mac, Fiend. These dudes are doing great numbers and becoming household names. And they just local artists, man, at that point, you know? These are real small time artists, but P's machine was something to be admired, I guess. You got to admire what he was doing there. And then they go to talk about how Master P really broke into becoming a household name when he dropped Ghetto D. Now, Ghetto D was number one, went on to sell 700,000 copies the first week. Woo! Must be nice. Now, remember this. Master P has an 80-20 split on all of this. His record deal is set up to where he can drop as many albums as he wants to in a year, and they can't do anything about it. They just got to keep pressing up what he brings up and turns in, and that's why that helps the machine push along, and man, makes him super rich in the process. I mean, dude was clocking major figures, man. So it's crazy that he was able to put this together, man. It's like a once in a lifetime type of deal, except he opened the door for cats like Cash Money to make their once in a lifetime deal as well. Dude was just on it, man. And I ain't just riding jock. I'm just like, man, I'm admired. This is a well put together documentary, and it jogs up a lot of memories from that time and the music of that time. But you really got to look at Master P as a businessman and just get that man slaps and daps, man. He was official. Now, according to what they say, at this time, No Limit is killing it, man. They killing it, man. Master P got city buses and stuff with all their albums on there. These dudes are doing their thing, man. It's really going down. He's getting big money. He's a household name. He drops Ghetto D, and what makes Ghetto D and him even blow up more is when he drops Make 'Em Say Now everybody knows this song, you know. It's like a pep rally, Jock Jam's wet dream. You know what I'm saying? This song, it was made for sports arenas. So Make 'Em Say blows all the way up. And he's got a packed roster on Make 'Em Say He got Mystikal on there. He got Fiend on there. He got himself on there. It's just like the whole roster is on there. And this helps blow folks up, man. And dude, man, just carries on from there. But the weirdest thing happens after that. Master P says after his next album, MP The Last Don, he is about to retire because he wants to focus on running his company. But Master P has another big move waiting in the wind, man. He's going to go ahead and get the biggest artist on the planet at the time in hip-hop, which is Snoop Dogg, man. Now, with the untimely demise of Tupac and Biggie, man, Snoop Dogg was left out there on an island, man. It was a real crazy situation because Suge Knight just went to jail because he was involved in the whole Tupac attack on Orlando Anderson up in Las Vegas. So it looked real crazy, man. It was a bad look for Snoop. I'm gonna keep it real, man. And everything was in Suge's name, man. Suge was running Death Row like Big Red Records, man. If any of you have seen 5 Heartbeats, you know what I mean, man. My office hours are from 9 to 5, and we gonna really take advantage of you in these record deals, man. That's basically the camp he was running. Which sucks, man, because of all the money that Death Row had, if they had run it legit and were a little bit smarter, you would think, man, a lot of those cats will still be rich today. But, I mean, eventually it worked out for Snoop, but Master P had the master plan. He said, forget this. I'm going to go get with Suge Knight in jail. I'm going to talk with him. We going to work out a deal, and I'm going to buy Snoop's, rights. And it worked out. After some, negotiation, and they asked Master P on the documentary, it was like, well, how much did it cost you? He said a couple million. But man, when he said that, I was like, man, I wonder what his return on that investment would be. But then you go on later, and Snoop talks about the whole big change when he moves over to No Limit. So Snoop gets with No Limit, and cats legitimately have money. Like, the artists have their own house with the deed in their name. The artists have their own fleet of cars, jewelry, Rolex, money in the bank. And he was like, wow, this is a big change. But because before that, when he was at Death Row, it just wasn't that type of thing, man. So Snoop moves with Master P and his folks in some place in Baton Rouge called the Country Club. Now, P set up Baton Rouge to be the headquarters for No Limit Records. Moves everything out of New Orleans, moves everything out of LA. He wants Baton Rouge to be their headquarters, an area he can control, and it's not too far from home. Problem is, Baton Rouge was not feeling them cats moving in there. We'll get to that in a little bit. So there's a guy whose name is Suave Bob, who is the CFO. So, he's a financial officer for No Limit. And I like the fact that P had his business set up like a real business. Real job titles, real people doing real things as far as work. He had real assistants. A lot of the ladies that he had working for the company, you can tell they were very professional. It just seemed like the hip hop part of him was almost a ruse to most people, because they wouldn't be able to look at the sophistication behind the operation if you looked at him on the surface. And that was at his advantage, I think, man. You take me for whatever I am outside. Yeah, I'm a hip hop head. I dress in a hip hop style and all that. But behind the scenes, we handling business like we supposed to. So Master P moves his operation to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And they do not receive a warm welcome, man. They are not feeling these guys moving into their town. And, Louisiana has some racial problems. I mean, the only place I can think of that's worse is probably Mississippi. And that's not even that far off. You know what I mean? So they're having some issues with the community, and the community is not welcoming them. But, man, they got to buckle down and make things happen. But the positive part about it is, man, they are handling business. I'm talking about records and everything doing well, man. It's just a good look on that end, man. So for everything that they're dealing with back home, man, on the international and national level, they are blowing up like they had never seen. We're rolling into 1998, and things are just on the up and up. So they really expand their movie division, and they drop I Got to Hook Up the Film. Now, a lot of us, we saw this one. It was the first No Limit release we saw in the movie theaters. And they drop I Got to Hook Up the Film and the soundtrack. And the soundtrack goes on to sell 3 million copies. So that thing goes triple platinum out there. You know what I mean? So it doesn't end there. In 1998, man, they have the biggest year possible. They dropped 23 albums in 1 year with a lot of certified platinums, a lot of certified gold albums, and a lot of certified multi-platinum albums. They got a serious hit machine going on. They talk about their work ethic. They had to drop albums and have them complete within 2 weeks, and it had to have 20 songs on it or more. And this is where P's genius comes in it with Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg was featured on 19 of those 23 albums. Snoop himself even said in the documentary, like, man, I was working, man. I was a workhorse, man, because he was getting his money's worth, man. He knew what he was doing. He knew if he had Snoop Dogg on the album, he could get a lot of West Coast buy-in too, and a lot of the commercial fan base will buy in because Snoop Dogg was a household name as well, and it just helped the machine, man. Master P was a mad genius with this, and this episode 3 was just dope, man. It was dope. Now, this is going long, so we're going to do a separate video for episode 4, but at this point, that's where we're at, man. So if you guys like this video, make sure you hit that like button, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and we out of here. Peace.